Hello, friends. I'm so happy to welcome all of you to the initiative that Times of India has taken on the 8th of March, which is called The Future is She. I actually wanted to call it She is the Future, but then I thought, let's not take it so tongue in cheek. So, we have a lot of exciting activities lined up for today. I'm sure all of you have already gone through our newspaper in the morning and seen the lovely articles that have been written by really successful and prominent women of today all around the world. And you must have got enthused to get into the sessions that we have planned, right from the session on yoga in the morning and throughout the day. We have very exciting sessions planned. There are several pledges that we would like you to take because, actually, a woman is the only one who can stand up for herself. Why should we depend on anyone else? That's why in the International Women's Day theme for this year is Break the Bias. Because while the world could be biased against, the female gender, I would say the biases actually start and end really in our minds. So let's first break the bias in our minds that we can do anything we want. I welcome you to a day of healthy interaction, a lot of fun, and please have a lovely day. Thank you so much.
For each of them, and then we will get into the conversation. So Medha, hi.
Hi.
She is been a finance professional for a good 11 years with companies like Mercedes, General Electric, all of that, and then obviously she made travel her raison d'être. And today she is pivotal in creating and curating unique travel ideas. So hello everybody, and a very, very happy Women's Day to all the wonderful women who joined us for this session. My name is Mithun Roy. I'm a part of the creative strategy team at the Times of India. And today on this session, we will be talking about women on the driving seat, literally and figuratively. So, the other day I was actually reading this article about the Seema Bhavani. This is the all women biker squad with the border security forces. And it was so inspiring actually for me, it was a discovery, and it was so inspiring to read about this all women squad. And it got me thinking that, we women are so typecast in our roles. Anyways, we are typecast, whether it's at home or at work. And when it comes to certain professions and activities, we tend to have this complete male lens. That is, a society can't see women in those kind of activities. And one of them is definitely women in driving. So women make bad drivers. We've heard this so many times. Women can't park their cars. Women can get distracted while driving. Today, we are going to be busting some of these very often heard and very repeated myths with three women who have broken, in fact, completely shattered this particular stereotype. So let me welcome Medha Joseph, Sujal Padwardhan, and Alicia Abdullah. And I will start with a little introduction for each of them, and then we will get into the conversation. So Medha, hi.
Hi.
She is been a finance professional for a good 11 years with companies like Mercedes, General Electric, all of that, and then obviously she made travel her raison d'être. And today she is pivotal in creating and curating unique travel ideas, conceptualizing, and even the self-drive expedition covering 15 countries in 57 days from India to Morocco, along with Sujal. Sujal has also done her fair share of the corporate world. She's been Vice President, Head HR at Ambit Holdings. She's worked in human resources for 14 long years. And then, of course, she found her calling in exploring the world on wheels. She's undertaken a lot of these unique journeys, including an intercontinental journey of 23,000 kilometers, along with five friends, including Medha. And we also have Alicia with us. Alicia is India's first female national racing champion. In 2019, she became part of the Nismo Global Driver Exchange to partake in the 24 Ed series for Nissan. So welcome again. Uh, so we'll start the conversation with, Medha and Sujal. Tell me, what you guys do is actually the exact opposite of this template around women and driving. So what is your point of view on that? What has been your experience with Embark?
Hi everyone. It's really wonderful to be on this, discussion. And happy Women's Day to all. So to answer your question, Mithun, our experience has been wonderful, to say the least. And of course, there are these, notions around women driving and, whether they can drive or not. But when we started Embark, we never had this approach. We just started Embark because we were passionate about driving, we were passionate about traveling. So it was a very neutral approach. We never thought about, it's women drive or not. Uh, and people who have traveled with us, they are equally open to it. In fact, I think it was wonderful to see so many women who came on board, as solo travelers and who wanted to drive and never got an opportunity to drive. Uh, so, uh, so that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful, to say the least.
What
So
about
really
you,
want to,
Sujal?
yeah.
Yeah, I think Medha summarized it. The fact that we were neutral about it helped because we didn't particularly have this whole gender agenda playing on our mind itself. It so happened that it happened to be a male-dominated industry that we got into. Having said that, we used to get funny calls initially saying, "अच्छा साहब को फोन दो और कौन आएगा साथ में अच्छा आप ही चलाएंगे आप ही जाओगे those kind of things because people were trying to say कि ये दोनों कैसे लेके जाएंगे गाड़ियाँ how are these two going to lead the cars and so on and they assumed that we are just calling and we are just there to answer
And there's somebody at the back end.
हाँ और कोई साहब बैठा है पीछे जो गाड़ियों को लेके जाएगा so it took a while to get over that but I think over a period of time things have changed but like Medha said the clients who signed up were very supportive I mean they didn't create an ego issue after signing up saying how can you be in the front car or something like that.
Alisha, tell me something. I mean, while in your kind of experience or you taking up racing, did you get to hear this whole thing about women can't drive, let alone race, or women can't participate in racing as a profession? So, did you get to hear this a lot when you decided to take this up, or as you decided to move ahead?
Yes, when I started racing when I was 8 years old, I started to have a lot of. I'm 32 now, so I had a lot of criticisms before saying that because my dad was a racer, and I was a very chubby kid back then. So I was the only girl racing with the guys. My dad is someone who puts me with the guys to race to know how strong, to make myself more stronger. But you won't believe that the reason I'm so successful today is only because of the guys, because they put me down, they laughed, they even came up to me and said, they went up to my dad, in fact, and said, why are you wasting your time, putting her, she's just going to spoil your name, because you're a champion. And she's like, I used to be a back marker. I'm not ashamed of it. I used to be a back marker where the guys used to overtake me like 2-3 times on the racetrack. And that's when I decided, okay, my mom and my dad is a very, very strong people. If they are like, if they wanna hit you so hard with words, hit them back with those words, and by proving them wrong. So that's when I started to bunk college, my college, and go to the gym, work out, because mentally and physically you need to be really strong in the sport.
Yep.
So that's when I went, and I came 8th, then 7th, then 6th. It was not easy. I had a couple of falls and all that, but I think that it's they always say behind every successful woman is a guy, but behind every downfall of a woman is a guy. I should definitely say that because it's true. And even last year I quit racing for 2 years because I had like a very, very bad injury. I had like 13 screws and 2 plates. So I mean, that is my life, racing. Racing is something which I really love. So I moved to cars, and you won't believe I used to take my pills for painkillers to race because my leg used to get swelled up whenever I accelerate. The guys actually went and complained, put a protest on me that saying that I'm taking drugs.
Oh.
And with all my doctors on board and giving them all these things, I had quite a team to support me, and I finished third in the championship. And that's when I told the guy, be a man, and I just had a little talk with him. I think it's just that in the mindset of the guy, how can a girl do this? I think
Yeah.
also we're telling the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me something, Sujal, Medha, like, so you said these girls who kind of sign up for this, uh, is this notion about, like, it's very easy for us maybe to even imagine this, but from a smaller city or like the not so urban centers, is it still true that women are not allowed to drive, or, they have to take permission to be a part of any rally, or things like this? Is it true? Is it still true?
Yes, it is true. Unfortunately, and also because somewhere women, this is a very one example, a client who had come on one of our trips, and I was convincing her, why don't you come? She's like, the dates are not suitable. I said, so bring your, daughter, bring, and your husband. She's like, no, when I go on a family vacation, or even if it's a road trip, I'm still taking care of everyone. I don't get to enjoy the driving part of it. So I want to come alone so that I get to drive. And yes, because they have to manage so many things. Not that men don't these days, but overall the myth that whether the safety, or how will she manage when she's driving alone, is very predominant. I mean, yeah, in urban cities and urban places, yes, today we see a lot of examples where women drive on their own, they do solo trips and all. But yes.
So, and also tell me, like, Alisha, maybe you are in a better position to talk about this, but as in racing as a profession, as in how kind of prevalent has that become? Have you inspired a new generation of women who want to take up racing as a profession, or is it still kind of very niche, and
No,
only the very brave will take it up?
it's not. When I used to race, I was the only girl racing. But then I opened my own academy in 2000, back in 2016, the Bike Racing Academy, and I had around 555 girls all over India who participated in my academy. And right now we just have handful of them because of many reasons, many factors. So racing right now, we have women in racing in India only because I brought them into the field, because they are more comfortable with a girl training a girl, but that mindset should change. We are not a country like a Middle East where, you have girls has to, communicate with girls and stuff, the same gender. But I feel that, if you train with guys, like Mary Kom always puts in a phrase that she always trains with men, because to get yourself mentally strong, that's when you can actually, go ahead neck to neck with them. So I believe in that concept. And right now there are many girls, but still the put down and let down, and the comebacks are really harsh only when the girl is on top of her standard, not when she's down. When she's down, she's the cutest angel, but when she's on top, she's the worst devil. That's how the guys treat us.
That's nice. And Sujal and Veda, tell me this. So, like in common, like everyday driving parlance. So, I was just talking to some women, and what are the things that you are usually told? I mean, these are corporate career women. So, some of the really funny ones that came is, oh, women can't drive for longer hours. The other one was, oh, they shouldn't drive because they will always need a man to change the tire. So you guys tell us some stories about, how women have really done the long haul, maybe some nuggets from your experiences of the intercontinent, because you've actually driven across so many countries and literally continents. So your own experiences, stories of some women who don't really need a man to change their tires, or who are in for the long haul. Some stories would really be welcome.
Veda, you want to share
No, you go ahead.
the Benz one?
Okay, yeah, fine. The Benz, one example is of Bertha Benz. She's the wife of Carl Benz. So she, in I think 1888, she's the first woman to do a long distance road trip. So in those days, it was only 100 kilometers, but it was the first four-stroke engine. In those days, you had horse carriages. So it was the first engine which could actually carry people, engine fit into a carriage. And she went to meet her mother with her two sons, and not just alone. And it took her 15 hours. Imagine. And she faced so many problems. There were the brake pads, like the brake blocks those days. Brake blocks broke off, the pipe broke off. she took care of all of it. It took her 15 hours, and she was the first woman to do a long distance journey in those days.
Mhm.
And after that, actually, Benz actually developed and came up with better cars to, which you could drive cross country. So the point is that it was a woman who did the first long distance journey in the world. And today it's still, perceived that women can't drive or women can't do long distance, which is so,
I know, ironic.
paradoxical. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very ironic. I'll add on to that. We know of so many, at least one lady who drove all the way from India to, all the way from London to India alone.
Mhm.
And she had so many issues when she started off. She wanted to do this journey alone, and her name is Bharulata. And she called us before she started off, and she said everybody is telling me not to do this. It's unsafe, and the Central Asia and everything. How will you go alone? And I think Medha had a chat with her and told her that just go ahead. It's fine. These countries you've driven through are completely safe, and they will in fact take care of you if you're alone, right? Because they like these explorers going through. And she actually did the 20,000 kilometer journey alone. So there are these, women who are doing it. I think the first India to Thailand drive, all women India to Thailand drive, we had announced in 2019, and it was interesting to see the first day. I think women were driving at the speed of 30, and on international roads, you need to maintain some speed, and by the end of it, of course, people had the ladies had gotten comfortable. They're driving at the speed that was recommended. But we asked them on day one that what happened? Why were you not going about 30? And they said we've never. Some of them, not all of them. We had 16 women, so some of them couldn't go. So obviously the convoy speed slows down. And they said we've never driven about 30 because we were never allowed to drive about 30. And we've never driven on a highway because every time we used to hit a highway, some guy used to take over the car because we were never. क्योंकि highway कैसे चलाओगे? Highway तो difficult है, इतना fast नहीं चला पाओगे. या रात को नहीं चला पाओगे, like there is some special vision somewhere, but
बाजार तक गाड़ी घुमा के चले
हाँ
आओ.
बस यहाँ पे घुमा के ले आओ बाकी. So I'll just share one more very funny example that recently happened. I just came back from a snow drive in Russia, and one of the days was dedicated to a snowmobile ride. Right now snowmobile looks huge and it's a little difficult to maneuver, but it's not impossible. And there were 4 couples and 2 ladies who had signed up. So we all settled on the mobiles, whoever wanted to ride first sat in the front, the other person sat behind, irrespective of whatever. And this huge Russian guy comes from inside, and he just talks something to our guide who translates to us saying, all men in front. So we were like, okay. But we didn't understand the context. हमको लगा कुछ weight का issue होगा या they try to balance things out. So he made all the men sit in front and ride first. It was funny because it was not applicable to the mobile that had 2 ladies on it. So wherever it's possible, you make it sure that, and he just assumed, and later on we found out that he just assumed that men will drive this better because the first 10 minutes were difficult if we are going through some woods and stuff like that. So, it's global. It's not just India. I think across the globe, people assume that, women are going to mess it up.
Yeah. It's not just an Indian, absolutely. It's not just an Indian notion. I think it's kind of there across the world. And
in Uzbekistan, they actually put a sticker of a shoes, like a pink shoe with heel on the car.
a woman driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do it. I think we went in 2017, na Medha? 2017 they had that, so that the person behind knows that there's a woman driving.
Alicia, do you have any stories and experiences to add to this?
No, I mean, this is crazy. First time I'm hearing this, but yeah, I mean, in my city, I think Chennai, we have, if there is a slow driver driving, it's a woman. Please be careful. Don't go next. My own mom says that. I'm taking in the car. She'll be like, Alicia, it's a woman driver. Be careful. These people drill like this one. I said, Ma, even we are women. I think it's just that, women are like this. But wow, like I said, the panelists here, they are just crazy stories. I've been hearing the stories, and I think, I don't know why. I really want to ask, why do people think we are bad drivers? We are safe drivers. We don't bash cars.
Actually.
Yeah.
I
think we are safe drivers. We have lesser road rage. I think we are more disciplined.
So I have a poll where how many accidents on the road is caused by men and women?
Correct.
You know, it's
And
all
There's no
actually-
poll like that. We should have a poll like that, huh?
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's actually just about being a good driver or a bad or a less experienced, because
We
you
are
don't
smart
have the
drivers.
opportunity.
We are
It's not
slow
about the capability, right? So it's nothing about the gender. In fact, there's one more example I'd like to share. When we do road trips right across, and this one all-women road trip we announced from India to Thailand. The first few days we got calls only from men to begin with, because road trip to Thailand. And one of this guy, he called and he inquired and is like, oh, so यहाँ से गाड़ी चला के जाओगे आप Thailand? So we were conversing in Hindi and he's like, हाँ, तो कितने लोग होंगे, क्या होगा? So we answered all his questions. अच्छा, तो सिर्फ ये औरतों के लिए है? I said, हाँ,
Ladies
ये
लोग.
सब औरतों के लिए. And then finally he asked, फिर गाड़ी कौन चलाएगा? And yeah, there was a 2-minute silence. I mean, I didn't know how to answer them. Like, yeah, औरत ही चलाएंगे ना. I mean, all women road trip है तो वो औरत ही चलाएंगे गाड़ी. So it's very difficult for men to even digest that women can go on such, cross country road trips. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we do get these funny.
In fact,
yeah,
it's,
experience.
I mean, Alicia, we were showing your pictures in office the other day. I mean, just the image of you in that photograph is itself so, what would I say, empowering to the rest of us, because it is just, you said a very nice word. I think we're just conditioned, this whole thing about, oh, must be a woman driving the car. Like I hear it almost every other day, because I live in a building which has the parking is in the basement, and it's a real pain taking the car out.
Yeah.
And every other day I hear, oh, acha, there's a lady in the 3rd floor who kind of takes her time taking the car out. I mean, blame the parking lot, the basement, because it's
Correct.
really done badly. But the only thing they say is they blame the driver.
Yeah.
Mrs. So-and-so is taking the car out, and that's why it's such a problem. So, it's so conditioned as a society. We are like, we just can't see this. So the moment I showed I was showing her photographs and then she's going to be a part of the panel itself is so, motivating. I think we just need so many more of all of you to,
when I race,
pass this.
I feel like, I'm sorry, guys. So,
Yeah.
when I see guys, they see my name and they come and hit me. I'm not showed the picture, but I'll share the picture. My whole car was smashed. In the front, my wheel was bent. I was driving. The car has to be like this, right? So I was driving my race car like this. I was coming first. This guy, I put up on all social media saying, men will be men. The guy hit me from behind and my car is flying. He used me as a brake. Now you have to brake in one particular stage, but he never braked. So I was in the front. He went flat out. He came, he braked, and he's trail braking me. So he's braking and I'm like going, I'm not able to turn. And he tells me, and I didn't even know who it was. And for me, I get so angry when guys do this, So I came back. I knew in the rear view mirror it was him. I went back. I took the car reverse. I went back and I hit him so badly that his tie rod broke of the car. His drive shaft broke. And then he's like, in Tamil, he told me, Akka, sister, why did you do this to me? I said, this is called karma. I give you karma on the track. So guys don't mess around with me now on the track.
We need to learn this from you, Alicia. This
Yeah.
Mostly.
Even just like the pink heels, Alicia should have something on her normally when she's driving down the road.
Yeah.
She should have something like that so that
Beware of women driving.
One danger sign.
I know.
that'll be great. So tell me, Veda and Sujal, are you all also reaching out to corporates to get women to join these rallies? What kind of, what kind of experience, or what is the response? As in, do people are corporates willing? Are women form corporates willing to come on these rides?
Yes, I think they're opening up now. Things have changed drastically. See, one of the reasons why road tripping in itself as a concept was not very popular in India, because we did not have a very evolved self-drive cars market, right? Like in Europe or US, which is changing now. I think there are a lot of players who are giving out cars which are more suitable for the terrain, and overall road tripping has evolved a lot when in the last 3-4 years. Because initially when we started the company, again, funny calls, right? Somebody used to call and say, "अच्छा गाड़ी भी हम ही चलाएंगे, पैसे भी हम ही भरेंगे, तो आप लोग क्या करोगे?" Kinds, you know. So couldn't grasp the
Get the
concept
concept, yeah.
of road tripping. So overall, the concept is improving now, the evolving, and people are more conscious. In terms of women, in terms of corporates, I think they are opening up. They are more open to the idea of using this as one of the employee engagement activities and sending some of their stars or sending some women on top. In fact, when I did the first, when Medha and I did the first India to Morocco drive, which was 57 days.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I need to leave for a meeting. Please, can I go? I'm so
Okay. Just can you leave with a message, Alicia, for Women on Women's Day?
To all the women out there, happy Women's Day. And more than me, I have two strong people sitting down here who's giving their amazing stories. Just be brave in whatever you do. It's just not about driving, but just be brave in whatever you do. And just never let anyone, not the guys, I'm not going to put down any guy, but just not let anyone rule over us. If you really have something strong in your head, be strong in what you do. And that's the reason we lack in many things, because if someone demotivates us, we just fall down, we crumble. Just be focused and do what you do, and trust me guys, you will bloom like a flower for sure.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Keep
so much.
riding, keep driving.
All the panelists, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Bye. Sujal and Medha, some message from you for all the women.
I'll start with this. I think, exactly what Alicia said. We need to believe in ourselves. A lot of times, and I think the previous discussion could prove that, a lot of times we make a small mistake and we are so hard on ourselves that we don't let go of that mistake at all, and that kind of deprives us of so many things, right? So, and it applies more so to driving, because the moment you make a small mistake, you feel कि अरे इसके बाद में how do I get the car back on road, or how do I ensure that there's not much damage done. The second thing is, I think women are women's biggest enemies, because a lot of perceptions are also driven by women themselves. They strongly believe that men are better drivers. They themselves believe it, right? So that itself also becomes a deterrent to getting more opportunities to drive, because if you don't show the confidence, or even if you don't show the effort to get into that space, right? It's very easy to sideline and say, okay, chalo, rehne do, let me only drive. So you need to want to be there. You need to want to do it as strongly as you want to do other things, and then absolutely no one can stop you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Medha, Sujal, and Alicia had to leave us for a meeting. But you guys are truly, like I started with this, but you guys are, the modern India Seema Bhavani. I mean, you don't really need to be at the border security force, but y'all are breaking the bias when it comes to not just when it comes to driving, but generally in terms of, like you said, women are, they need to be more confident about themselves, about their capabilities, their abilities. So yes, I think y'all are doing a wonderful job in breaking the bias, and maybe keep doing it together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you so
for
much.
this opportunity.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Hello, friends. I'm so happy to welcome all of you to the initiative that Times of India has taken on the 8th of March, which is called The Future is She. I actually wanted to call it She is the Future, but then I thought, let's not take it so tongue in cheek. So we have a lot of exciting activities lined up for today. I'm sure all of you have already gone through our newspaper in the morning and seen the lovely articles that have been written by really successful and prominent women of today all around the world. And you must have got enthused to get into the sessions that we have planned right from the session on yoga in the morning, and throughout the day we have very exciting sessions planned. There are several pledges that we would like you to take because actually a woman is the only one who can stand up for herself. Why should we depend on anyone else? That's why in the International Women's Day theme for this year is Break the Bias. Because while the world could be biased against, the female gender, I would say the biases actually start and end really in our minds. So let's first break the bias in our minds that we can do anything we want. I welcome you to a day of healthy interaction, a lot of fun, and please have a lovely day. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Women's Day special. It is such a special journey I think all of us undertake, right from being inspired by the first woman in our lives, our mothers, and then everyone else around us. So we at Times of India, we've done this wonderful initiative called The Future is She. And me being tongue-in-cheek, I really thought that we should do She is the Future. But I said, let us not begin, with that kind of a supposition. So here we are with Future is She. And I don't think we are just the future. I think we've been the past, we are the present, and we will always be the future too. Let me welcome on board Susan, Navya, Captain Zoya, and Mansi. Thank you very, very much for joining us. So rather than introduce all of you, what I'll do is when we just start, questioning, talking to each other, please begin by saying a little bit about yourselves and the work you do, and let's then carry on with it. So Susan, to begin with you as a UN, representative for women in India, please just tell us about your journey and what really is your charter, and what are the challenges or opportunities that women are facing today? And as an institution, what can the UN do to achieve the objectives that you're laying out for yourselves?
Thank you very much for the question or questions. So I'm Susan and I'm the country representative here for UN Women in India. And UN Women is the UN entity that is concerned primarily with gender equality and women's empowerment. And we really do that supporting governments around the world, our member states, and also individual women, and at all different levels to improve their lives. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And here in India, we have a big focus on women's economic empowerment because there are really so many opportunities for women in India because of the massive economy that India has. So you were asking some of the challenges, I think, that women face in economic empowerment. And I think they are many, from some of the social norms that we are imbued with as we grow up, which sort of unconsciously dictate some of the areas that women are more likely to be working in, such as teaching and nursing and that sort of thing. And plus, the issue of care work is a huge challenge for women who are often expected. Again, the norms, globally, the norms often are that women are the primary carers in the household. And that can really constrain their ability to contribute to the economy as well. So these are really just a couple of areas of work where women and our ability is constrained. But I think that we all have a role in unlocking some of these barriers, and we do that almost every day. The government does that by instituting an environment, a policy and legislative environment that allow women to participate, such as, providing the legislation around maternity leave, which is crucial so that women can retain their work. And then we, of course, have a role to play in taking part in work, in seeing that we can do this. We can work in any of the different areas that men are engaged in as well. And we have some fantastic examples on the panel today of young women who are doing just that, breaking some of the biases that keep women into certain jobs. And I think the private sector has a huge role to play also, because, of course, the private sector are the engine of growth. So what they do to open up their organisations so that women can contribute both in leadership and in supply chains and across all of the dimensions of their work, these are also really critical areas that can improve women's chance of getting a good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan, and so well spoken and so true. If I could just move on, let me go to Navya this time, because it is so inspiring to see such young women taking on, such societal pivotal roles in working on, to enriching the environment for women. So Navya, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what are the opportunities you are working on at this point in time?
Thank you for having me here today, and want to wish everyone, a very happy Women's Day, and thank you to everyone for joining in and listening to us. So my name is Navya Nanda, and I'm the co-founder of Ara Health, which is a women's healthcare platform where we provide scientifically backed and reliable information around women's healthcare with a deep focus on feminine health. And I'm also the founder of Project Naveli, which is a nonprofit initiative through which I work on, different projects around period poverty, domestic violence, and legal awareness as well. And I actually work with Mansi, who is, a fellow panelist. We have a project together as well. But I think what I'm currently working on and trying to push forward is definitely, period poverty is something that I've been trying to work on for the last 2 years, which is the inaccessibility to, menstrual products, but not just products, but also information around menstruation. So I really take up every opportunity that I get, to talk about menstruation, because I really believe that the more we talk about it, in settings like this, whether it's on social media or even, at home, is when we will be able to break the stigma that's associated with it till date. So that is something that, I see as a big opportunity where we can really come together and break a lot of the stigmas that are, still existent today in our society. And for that, some of the projects that I've worked on really focus around not just giving women access to menstrual products, but also giving them access to information. Because, I really believe that we need to be more informed about our bodies, and being more informed, we will make more informed decisions. And as women, I think, we live in a society where our bodies are talked about all the time, whether it's the physicality of it, whether it's what our bodies can do. And I think that it's time that we take ownership of our bodies and we stop allowing society to dictate what we do with it. So that's something that, I've been trying to push forward, the message that I've been trying to push forward through my work, in the field of period poverty. And I really am grateful for, Times of India and UN Women for giving me an opportunity to come out here and talk about it, on such a public platform. And I really wish that we can do more of that, collectively.
Thank you so much, Navya. You've been so articulate with your messaging, and it's so inspirational. And because it leads, into what Mansi partners with you on, let me go to Mansi next. Mansi, you are the successful corporate lawyer. So how did you decide to embark upon this kind of a journey and take on the onus of setting up Pink Legal? So do tell us about what you do.
Hi, Sudha. Good morning, and a very happy Women's Day to everybody here. And thank you so much for having me on this panel. And to briefly introduce myself, I think though Sudha has already introduced me a bit. So I am a corporate lawyer, and I have my own corporate law practice based out of Hyderabad. But I am also the founder of Pink Legal, which is India's first and only digital platform which educates women about their legal rights and also helps women access legal resources. And although I obviously, corporate law is my profession, Pink Legal is my passion. And I think I dedicate 50% of my time to both of these areas of my life. And Pink Legal came about to be because as a law student, I realized that although we actually have a lot of laws in favor of women in India, such as the Maternity Benefit Act, which Susan was just talking about, women don't know about these laws. And if they don't know their rights, how are they ever going to access their rights? And one of the most important reasons for this is because laws are very complicated. We don't have any resource from where women can understand the legal language or a comprehensive place for women to understand all of their legal rights because they are divided across several different statutes. And this creates a huge divide between the law and people. And that is why I decided to make this information accessible to women and help them understand their rights in the language that they speak. So the way you and I speak today is the same way in which I would want women to understand their rights as if a friend is explaining it to them. And that is the entire idea behind Pink Legal. But somewhere along the line, actually, women started approaching Pink Legal to help us connect them, to help they wanted to connect to lawyers because they didn't know where to look for a reliable lawyer or whom to approach because of the stigma and taboo attached to seeking legal help. And therefore, Pink Legal also now runs a helpline for women called Project Nyairi, which Navya and I run together, which is basically a free legal and mental health awareness and counseling program for women, as well as Pink Legal connects women to lawyers all across India. So through these initiatives, I hope to bridge the gap between women and the law one step at a time. And thank you for giving me this platform to talk about this initiative so that I hope more women are aware about, the services that Pink Legal has to offer and are able to use them to their benefit.
Thank you so much, Mansi, because awareness is really the starting point of any kind of empowerment and any kind of development. And you've really gone to the grassroots of identifying what the key problem is and working towards, breaking that challenge and, overcoming it. Let me now go to this extremely smart lady, Captain Zoya, who has broken the sonic barrier, literally, and how. I mean, she's been the youngest commercial pilot to commander an Air India Boeing 777 way back in 2013. She's commanded an all-women team of pilots to fly Air India's longest non-stop commercial flight over the North Pole. So, when we think of North Pole, we only think of Santa Claus. But Captain Zoya, you are the smartest Santa Claus we have seen. So can you please tell us a little bit about your journey and this entire all-male bastion that you have broken and you've gone into, and did you face any biases or barriers, and how did you overcome them? If there's some learning that women can get out of that, that'll be great. Welcome, Captain.
Thank you so much for the amazing, humbling words, kind words you have showered me with so much of love. I would like to take this opportunity for thanking UN Women to invite me on this prestigious platform to speak on the occasion of International Women's Day. I want to wish every single starry-eyed woman out there who's watching this a very, very happy International Women's Day. And today is a day we all celebrate ourselves and carry forward the celebration for the next 364 days till the next Women's Day comes. So my name is Captain Zoya Agarwal, and I proudly am a commander with our flag carrier Air India on the Boeing 777. And yes, my journey has been all about breaking barriers. I truly feel that, you know, women have a huge role to play in shaping the world. And I am sort of a dot named Zoya, an example who is showcasing that women can be the path breaker, the change maker, the trendsetter, and they can shatter any glass ceilings they truly want, so long as they believe in themselves. You know, I come from a background where I had to fight for my aspirations, my goals, my dreams, to make every single thing come true, because back in the days, women were not expected to do non-traditional jobs of where, you know, most of the males are. And I had to go against my environment, my society, even my own family, to make those dreams of mine come true. But essentially, what I kept was my focus on my dream. I never let go of my goal, which is what I think is really important to have a generation equality world by 2030, as we envision with the SDG 5, for our women to realize, to unlock their true potential by focusing on what they truly want to do in life and not give up. Because the power of the dream they want to pursue, there is only one person who has the power to push you forward or to say stop to you. And that power lies within themselves. So long as a society, as parents, we can tell our young girls, our children, our women to believe in themselves and follow their dreams with their heart and soul, without the bias of dreams having any gender, I think we are going to go successfully towards our generation equality world by 2030, and we'll all get there together.
Oh, that is so wonderfully put, Zoya. Yes, I do completely agree with you that the SDG goals of the government of India can be achieved only with breaking the bias and having gender neutrality. You know, in olden days, it was the men who wore the skirts and the women who wore the pants, because anatomically, that is what suits, you know, our body structure and the kind of work we do. And similarly for men, but somewhere, you know, down the ages, it changed. But now anyway, it, you know, we can keep swapping roles. So if we can just go back to Susan. Susan, really just talk a little bit about the framework and the kind of, you know, deeper interventions, and could be simpler interventions that institutions really need to make a difference. So can you talk about, you know, one or two that are really hot at this point in time and that you are working on to change, you know, to make a difference which will have a long lasting impact?
Thank you very much. Well, one of the things that we're doing here and actually around the world is working with the private sector on a program called We Empower Asia. And we're working with private sector organizations to convince them to sign off on what we call the Women's Empowerment Principles. And these are 7 principles that businesses can sign up to, which focus on a range of things that will unlock this potential that Captain Zoya also spoke about. So it's looking at what can businesses do to improve women's leadership. And again, in India, you know, the government has targeted women for boards, you know, a certain number of women to be on private sector boards. And actually, we know that women's leadership on boards translates into an economic dividend for companies. It's associated with, in fact, quite small amounts, not even 50% women and men on boards. But the more women you have, the more profit a company makes, because it includes diversity, and so a business can respond to customers, both women and men, for example, and can come up with planning and products that suit that market. So the principles look at women's leadership, and also they support businesses signing off on policies that might improve women's chance to hold and retain a job. For example, sexual harassment policies at work, because this kind of harassment can deter women from retaining jobs. So there's a range of different principles, and businesses can do a whole range of things within their own workforce. Raising awareness within their workforce about the impact that women will have on business is really, really crucial as well. And that's a small and quite a simple thing to do. Being involved with these kinds of events is also a way of raising awareness in the community, beyond your own business. And these are things that are all within our reach, as I think this panel can show. So they're just some of the practical things. And then just to look a little bit at those women who are not necessarily in the formal sector, because the informal sector, while it is informal, it still has a huge impact on countries' health and well-being, and even their macro development. So making sure that women can own and control money is really important. So trying to improve women's viability in their small businesses is crucial for so many women and their families in India and beyond India as well. If women own and control income, if they can earn it themselves and control where it's spent, actually it's going to have a huge impact on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, because women are often more likely to invest their hard-earned cash in things that benefit their families' health and well-being of their families. So yeah, they're just some things that we can do.
So true. Thank you so much. At this point in time, I cease to be moderator. I'm not a moderator. Please, whatever, if Susan's saying something and you want to add something to it or take off on that point, the three of you, please feel free to do so. Okay, so I don't want to be the one to ask questions. You can ask questions to each other, and you can just, add to a conversation. Let it just be a conversation. Yeah. So anything else you want? Susan, firstly, thanks so much, because there's so much. This initiative with the private sector is not something that the UN very naturally does in a lot of areas. And in this area, I think this embedding of objectives with private sector is going to take it's a gigantic leap.
Yes,
to make this happen. And really, I'd like to also work with you on this. So this
would be great to have the Times of India, one of the businesses that have signed up. Would be wonderful.
Would really be our pleasure. And the three of you, just do you want to add to anything she has to say, Zoya? Yeah.
No, I think what she's saying is extremely relevant. I think the way forward for us to also to move towards our sustainable development goals is also to empower our women from my line of work, from where women are very, when I entered, for example, we only had a handful of girl pilots. And now today we are at the verge where we are the highest in the whole world for women pilots. Like I was just going through a data where there were more than 7,500 licensed holders for women pilots out of almost 18,000 pilot license holders in India, which constitutes to, I can see the surprise on your face.
My goodness, this is more than 1/3. It's about 37-38%. Brilliant.
My bad, 2,700. So that is 15%. Sorry. Yes. So 15% of the total strength, which is still
Very
A
significant.
tremendous,
Very.
very significant, considering the numbers in the other countries, which are 4%, 5%. And this is, yes, yes, I know it's surprising. Women are really leading the way in India as far as the Indian aviation sector is concerned. And even the corporates, I think the statistics have doubled, being, women being the CEO in the last decade, which is phenomenal. So India is going ahead, with a full gung-ho. But what we need to instill is also in the rural sector. These statistics are, for the urban sector. We need to go to the rural sector. We need to educate and also empower the girls with the mindset, that they can achieve whatever they want, truly, to unlock the potential, as Susan ma'am was saying. But so long as we tell them the way, and also educate their parents, who are the true wind beneath their wings, because without family support in India, it is very, very difficult for women to come up. So we all as a society have to come together to promote the big growth, so that we can work towards a better future of tomorrow, for having women to be the change makers, the path breakers, the leaders of tomorrow. And for that, we have to start today. Also, I would like to say that we also should promote STEM in a big way, because I feel a lot of yes, absolutely. And I think that is where a lot of the potential lies in the future as well. Like, I'll talk just about my field. By 2038, Boeing has predicted 800,000 pilots are required. And for that, we have to start now by going into schools and telling our children the importance of STEM. So I think that also will be very big consideration to push our women towards STEM subjects in future.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, Zoya, because STEM education, which is science and technology and related fields, is also very critically important from a perspective of R&D. Today, all the R&D, worldwide is being led by men who do not think from a perspective of 50% of the world population being women and being consumers. So it starts right at that basic stage of how do we even think of designing an inclusive design, that includes gender, that there's gender neutrality in that, or specific designs for women. And going forth, jobs also needing women in deeply technical fields. So STEM education is a great point that you brought up, Zoya.
Sudha, could I just add to that, that apparently 90% of the jobs of the future will involve a focus on STEM. So this area is so crucial, and again, changing the sort of stereotypes that keep women and girls sort of learning more around the humanities rather than science. It's not that women and girls aren't just as capable. And in fact, India's got amazing representation of women scientists, including one of the leading scientists who developed the vaccine for COVID is an Indian woman. So there's amazing scientists who are great role models. But I just wanted to ask, actually, Navya, around the issue. You mentioned period poverty, and we were talking about the importance of women in rural areas being involved in this economic development and economic growth. What do you mean by period poverty, and what impact does that have on women's economic potential?
So, like I mentioned, period poverty, I think most believe is, the inaccessibility to sanitary pads or menstrual hygiene products. But actually, it's also an inaccessibility to information and services and infrastructure that supports healthy menstruation. So that would mean, information about menstrual hygiene that a woman should practice during her period. It also means the inaccessibility to products in public areas like metros, train stations, shopping centers. We still don't have access to sanitary pads, in most public toilets today in India as well. And that people assume that that's only in rural parts of the country, but even if you step out in Mumbai today and you go to a shopping mall or a restaurant, you will not find a single sanitary pad in any of the public bathrooms today. So I think period poverty really encapsulates that entire situation that we see today. And when you ask, how that affects women's economic, ability to, it's a lot we see today, even in, big companies who are trying to take that push towards offering period leaves to women, where, they're giving them 4 to 5 days off a month, to offering period leaves, which is something that we've seen recently. But the same company that's offering a woman a period leave doesn't have any sanitary pads in their bathrooms either. So it is kind of a situation where people are making that effort to try and be inclusive and be aware and give women what we've been asking for so long. But I think I really believe that change can only begin at home, and I think that no matter what we go out into the public and see, we have to come home to an environment that is supportive and inclusive of what our body needs. How we talk about periods at home with our parents, and especially the men in the house, how the men in the family address menstrual pain or PMS, which is something that we see a lot. Even talking about periods, I think, has to be done in a very transparent manner at home before it can be addressed so publicly. Because when you come from an environment that gives you that confidence and strength to talk openly about your body, in the comfort of your home, then you really feel confident enough to voice your opinions when you go out into society. And I think that's the trickle effect that we need. And I would hope that more families, more parents, especially fathers and brothers, can have open conversations about periods at home, because it's not just important for the girls and the women in the family, but also the younger boys, because they're going to grow up watching the older men in the family and how they behave with the women at home. And I think that just frames what the future of society will look like. So I think that is really important. And I think that's what I would say is something that is really needed in this particular space to make it more transparent and destigmatize it.
That's so true. And the other thing also is that, Navya, if there's awareness and there's accessibility to products that make you comfortable, then you also become more economically productive, and overall your health improves, because there's so much of infection that thanks to period poverty, women go through, and they become unproductive during that time. So it can decrease discomfort as well as have a positive bearing on health.
And I'd also like to add, when you talked about the private sector being heavily involved in making this kind of change, we have seen for the longest time large multinationals that sell sanitary products still have advertisements where they pour blue liquid onto a sanitary pad as opposed to red. And I think that the kind of messaging that you send out through ads is subconsciously something that we take in when watching it. And recently we've seen maybe some changes in that, but for the longest time, the advertising wasn't transparent. The way that we shied away from pouring that red liquid and we pour blue liquid. But so I think these small things need to change, and as the private sector, we need to take that responsibility upon us to make sure that our communication is as transparent, because you can't be a manufacturer of a sanitary pad and shy away from talking about it openly.
Yes, yeah, totally agree, Navya, even though in that the government wasn't allowing us to do that. So it was more, the INB ministry which had rules put down, and that is breaking now with a lot of representation and voices, of the likes of you being heard, and that's getting broken. It's a great point. Mansi, can you, give us some examples of how Pink Legal has, can you recount one or two incidents of really, something that stood out? And the learning that you have had through this experience of how has this really touched women?
So, Sudha, when I started Pink Legal, actually today it completes 2 years on 8th March, because I launched Pink Legal on 8th March 2020.
Okay.
And when I started Pink Legal, I thought that the minute you step out of your house, you face sexual harassment on the road, somebody's catcalling, somebody's staring at you. So I thought that that section of the website will be the most visited and we'll get most number of queries on what do you do about sexual harassment on the streets. But I was really shocked when I realized that 80% of the women who reached out to us or our traffic was actually for the domestic violence section on our website. And although I was aware that domestic violence is a huge problem in our country, I had never firsthand seen the depth of this problem. We had read statistics, but to see that women are actually, this is the biggest problem that they're facing, and this is within their own homes and from their own family members who are supposed to provide you an environment of comfort, an environment of love and respect, and that is what is missing. So I was really, really upset to, understand this reality of women in India. And a lot of women would write to us asking us their legal queries. And sometimes when I would read their queries, it was really shocking to even see that women are actually going through these kind of dire circumstances. I wouldn't want to describe them over here because I'm sure it would make us uncomfortable to even hear the story, but the kind of experiences that these women are living with on a day-to-day basis. So at Pink Legal, we definitely try to support them by firstly helping them understand what their legal rights are in such a situation, and even helping them by, through Nyayri, which is our helpline. But apart from that, we also want to encourage women and young girls to change their mindset, to bring about a new culture where they don't feel that they have no other option but to live in an abusive household or to put up with domestic violence, and that they have no way out. And we are doing this through communities that we're creating through Pink Legal, called the Pink Legal Clubs and Pink Legal Beacons, which are Pink Legal's initiatives to empower young high school and college going students to form their own clubs, to start conversations about important issues around patriarchy, and to spread awareness among their peers about their legal rights. And I feel that so today we have more than 50 Pink Legal Clubs all over India, which have a community of more than 700 members. So if each of these members is able to educate even 10 people around them, I think we are able to, educate 7,000 people in one go. And through this, I hope to create a domino effect where through each club, through each person who is a part of the Pink Legal community, I want to empower them enough to be able to empower people around them and to instill confidence in young women that you can be whatever you want. Marriage is not the end of your life, and nobody else can tell you what you should do or how you should live your life. You don't need your husband or in-laws' permission to decide whether you can work, what the timings of your work should be, what kind of work can you take up, which, okay, yeah, we allow our daughter-in-law to work, we are very progressive, but who are you to, take that authority and put yourself in that place where you allow her, or that she can work, but as long as it doesn't affect her household responsibility. So maybe she can do something part-time. So to change that mindset so that women truly become emotionally and financially independent, and we break this chain of domestic violence and suffering in silence. So I think that's what we're trying to achieve through Pink Legal.
That's wonderful. Actually, I had goosebumps just listening to you, Mansi. It's 12:07 and we have the few minutes, 12:15, we wrap up. Any last thoughts? Anything that, the four of you just want to talk? Can we just begin with Zoya and just wrap this up?
Ma'am, I think what Navya, Mansi, and I spoke of, it only pointed towards one direction, and which was beautifully, I think, summarized by Susan, ma'am. I think all of us are united at UN Women over here conceptually, is that the change of perspective, change of mindset is a need of the hour, whether it's towards menstruation, whether it's towards the legal rights, and whether it's towards the growth with respect to the economical growth of the society. And I think so long and we can work towards the growth of the mindsets, the perspectives of everyone around us, the women and the people who are surrounding them, we can work towards a more inclusive and diverse setting where we have more of a societal and economic growth, where the future generations of our women, our girls of tomorrow who are going to be women, are going to thrive for the betterment of this world, because women are 50% of the world's population. And when 50% of the world's population thrives by achieving their dreams, by being true to their own dreams and their visions, by knowing their legal rights, by knowing what is good towards them with respect to the menstruation, but by having better health, I think when all these things are combined, we work towards a better world, which is going to lead to a better future of our beautiful Mother Earth. And that's what our ultimate mission is. And we'll work towards generation equality.
Oh, so well summarized, Zoya. Thank you. I think, women will help sustaining the Earth ecosystem for longer. If we are being included everywhere. Last thoughts from the other three of you. Would you like to go, Susan?
Well, just to reiterate really what I think that Captain Zoya has summarized it. In some ways, it's the old feminist thing about, the personal is political with a small p. What we experience as individuals can either sort of help or hinder us in our participation in the public realm. So it's women like you all that I think will make a difference and are making a difference and will make the world a better place.
Thank you, Susan. Navya, Mansi?
I'd just like to say that it's always, like I mentioned to you earlier as well, that it's an inspiration to us that, you give us this platform to come and talk about the kind of work that we're doing, come and voice our opinions, come and talk about things that matter to us. So I would really say that, it's people like you and, Susan and UN Women for giving us the opportunity to come out there and use our voices and use the passion that we have inside us to make a change. So I would like to end by saying, a big thank you to, both of you for hearing us out, because I think there's so much that we want to do as women and as the youth of this country. And I think it only fuels us, when you appreciate that by inviting us here and allowing us to talk about what matters and what needs to change. So a big thank you to you.
Thank you so much. Yes, youth and women. Mansi. I think that 1 + 1, which is going to be equal to 11 and not 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for closing thoughts, I just wanted to say that to each and every girl, woman who's watching this today or who's watching us, I hope that, you go back and think about the internal biases of patriarchy that you face in your day-to-day life, which we have normalized and accepted as a way of life. For example, if your brother has different rules in the house as you, or as a girl, you are taught to lay the table or clear the table, but your brother is not taught this. So it is these smaller biases that actually snowball into larger biases, which lead to a patriarchal society and which ultimately hold our women back from the workforce, because they instill the belief in us that no matter what you do, you are ultimately responsible for taking care of your house. And I think that is something that is a very personal issue to me, which I really want to, help bring about a change in whichever way I can by changing mindsets. So start looking at, start recognizing the bias and start breaking the bias, which is also the theme for this year's IWD. So let's start by breaking the bias within our own households, so that when we come out in the society, we are able to come out in a more free and open-minded society. And lastly, of course, thank you, Times of India and UN Women, for giving us this platform to express ourselves. It is a matter of privilege and honor for me to be with such august company. So I'm really grateful for this. Thank you.
As a last parting thought, I think Mansi has really hit the bullseye, because it begins right from our birth. It begins from our home environment. It begins with parents treating children equally. And that's what gives us the confidence to go out and do and conquer, and do everything that we are capable of. So all of us in our own way, I think, need to be able to propitiate this in every household that we come across. That confidence building gesture happens right from birth. And Zoya touched upon it when she said that there were barriers when she chose her own profession within the house. That should not happen. So if that gets broken right from infancy, then sky is the limit for all of us. With this, I think, Zoya, you want to say something?
I think I would just like to add on to that.
Please.
I think, dreams have no gender, and that's where we should work towards when the kids are born into our families. That's where we start from. Let them dream, allowing them to dream without a gender.
Great. With that beautiful thought, thank you very much, you four inspirational women. I've really I've been fortunate enough to meet all of you and speak to you. I don't know how the 45 minutes went. And I hope our viewers have found this as exciting as I did. Thank you so much. And let's be in touch.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Lovely to spend time with you on International Women's Day.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
friends. I'm so happy to welcome all of you to the initiative that Times of India has taken on the 8th of March, which is called The Future is She. You know, I actually wanted to call it She is the Future, but then I thought, let's not take it so tongue-in-cheek. So we have a lot of exciting activities lined up for today. I'm sure all of you have already gone through our newspaper in the morning and seen the lovely articles that have been written by really successful and prominent women of today all around the world. And you must have got enthused to get into the sessions that we have planned, right from the session on yoga in the morning and throughout the day. We have very exciting sessions planned. There are several pledges that we would like you to take because, you know, actually a woman is the only one who can stand up for herself. Why should we depend on anyone else? That's why in the International Women's Day theme for this year is Break the Bias. Because while the world could be biased against, you know, the female gender, I would say the biases actually start and end really in our minds. So let's first break the bias in our minds that we can do anything we want. I welcome you to a day of healthy interaction, a lot of fun, and please have a lovely day. Thank you so much.
Well, both papaya and pineapple can be had in your diet in moderation. Hi, I'm Dr. Tripit Chaudhary, Director Ops and Gynae, Fortis La Femme GK2. When a girl becomes pregnant for the first time, there are lots and lots of questions that come to her mind. She is worried about her baby's welfare and her own health. So some of the common things that I'm asked in my everyday practice, I will share with you and give you the information which I think you should be having. One question is, how much weight should I put on during pregnancy? On an average, we say it's half a kg per week, altogether 8 to 12 kilos during pregnancy. A girl usually does not put on any weight in the first 3 months of her pregnancy. If she is vomiting, may actually lose weight. How much weight you put on has no relationship to the weight of your baby. If you put on too much weight, your baby may still be underweight. I haven't put on any weight. Is my baby growing? Because nowadays the ultrasound tells us weight of your baby when we do measure various parameters. So do not eat for 2 people. Do not put on too much weight. Eat healthy. Break up your meals into 5 small meals instead of 3 large ones, so that both you and the baby are healthy. Who asked me, can we have papaya and pineapple? Well, both papaya and pineapple can be had in your diet in moderation. Avoid too much of anything. Raw papaya has certain chemicals which may induce abortion, but then that also again is if you are really having large quantities of it. Small quantity of anything is fine. My friend tells me no tea and coffee. You can have tea, you can have coffee, but in moderation. Maybe you can have 2 cups of coffee a day or tea a day. All together, not be having too much of caffeine, whether it's in the form of tea, coffee, chocolates, aerated drinks, anything. No Chinese food. Well, if you are very particular, you can tell the chef not to put MSG in your food, but a small amount of MSG is fine. There is no problem. I'm asked quite often, doctor, can I have fish? Yes, you can have fish. It's an excellent source of protein and omega-3. But the only fish that should be avoided is certain kinds of sea fish which may be having mercury. Also, you should not have any raw meat, fish or chicken. In India, fortunately, we have mostly river fish and which can be eaten easily. No raw meat or fish, no raw eggs, no sunny side up eggs, because eggs should be fully cooked, because otherwise you can have salmonella infection. All sprouts should be cooked. They should be either steamed or sauteed so that any bacteria are killed. No unpasteurized cheeses, but that doesn't stop you from having your pastas and pizzas, because all the cheddar and the parmesan that is used is the pasteurized cheese. It's best to avoid alcohol during pregnancy, because there is no study that has said that this much alcohol is fine during pregnancy. So it's best that you avoid alcohol during pregnancy. No smoking, definitely. It's like giving your little baby a heart attack. Work, you can continue with all kinds of work, except where you are likely to have any exposure to radiation. Besides that, avoid any unnecessary x-rays. People ask me, can I go through the screen that they put up at airports and malls? Yes, you can. It's safe to go through these screens. It's not going to harm you or your pregnancy in any way. Take 8 to 10 hours of rest a day. Listen to your body as far as work, rest and exercise is concerned. If your body says stop, stop there. Don't push yourself. You will not be able to do as much as you were doing before you became pregnant. And also remember, every pregnancy is different. One woman can do more than another one can. So don't compete with anybody. And you're not sick, so you shouldn't be lying in bed. You should be as active as possible. Then continue to have your normal sex life. You're pregnant. And the big advantage of being pregnant is that you don't need any contraception. You can't be hung for the same sin twice. So you can't become pregnant again. So you can have sex without any fear of pregnancy. Avoid exercises in which you may get injured. So otherwise, yoga is fine, aerobic exercises are fine, stretches are fine, walking is an excellent exercise. Swimming is probably one of the best exercises during pregnancy. Can I wear a heel? Yes, you can. Make sure that you don't fall, you're comfortable while walking, and you can wear a heel. Can I drive? Yes, you can drive. But the only important thing is that that you always wear your seat belt. A seat belt is far more important during pregnancy than it is otherwise. I mean, all accidents should be avoided as far as possible. Make sure that your one band of the seat belt is above your tummy and the other one is below it. Actually, you can live the way you were doing, became pregnant. So girls, just remember that pregnancy is not an illness. Live as you were doing before you became pregnant and enjoy your pregnancy.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Angela Aneja. I'm a Director Obstetrics, Gynae and Minimal Access Surgery at Fortis La Femme, Greater Kailash 2. Today I'm going to talk about polycystic ovarian syndrome. So what is polycystic ovarian syndrome? It consists of irregular periods, excessive androgen secretion which affects your appearance and gives you a lifetime health problem. Why we are talking about it? Because it's very common. It's present in 2 to 20% of women and it can present at any age, whether you just started with your period or in your reproductive life, and it affects your postmenopausal health. When we diagnose polycystic ovarian syndrome, out of 3, you should have at least 2 signs and symptoms where we can say that you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. One is irregular periods. It's because the excessive weight or excessive male hormone secretion doesn't let ovulation happen and you have delayed periods, and when it happens either they are irregular or you have a very heavy period. Second sign and symptom is excessive male hormone secretion, which leads to weight gain, your oily skin, acne, or facial or increase in facial or body hair, which is called hirsutism. Third is the ultrasound diagnosis of polycystic ovaries. Here I like to say, if you don't have any other symptoms and you just say that there is a polycystic ovaries on ultrasound, we don't consider this as a polycystic ovarian syndrome. So what causes polycystic ovarian syndrome? Exact cause is not known. Yes, it do run in families. If your mother or sister have a polycystic ovaries, there is a high chance that you can also have a polycystic ovarian syndrome. Second is increased insulin resistance. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone which is produced by pancreas and it helps to metabolize your sugar levels. If there is a resistance, there are increased chances of having diabetes. There's increased chances of having male hormones, which is called testosterone, which leads to obesity, acne, hair growth, and hair fall. And it also prevents the ovulation, so your period doesn't become regular. Some says it's because of some inflammatory process, but most common is the familial and increased insulin resistance. So now how we are going to treat it and why we want to treat it. Why we want to treat it? Because it has a long-term effects on your health, like it leads to weight gain, it leads to infertility, like there's a difficulty in becoming pregnant, it can lead to miscarriages. As there is insulin resistance, as I have already said, there's increased chance that you might develop diabetes in your pregnancy or in the later half of your life. There's increased chances of heart diseases, blood pressure, abnormal lipid profile, or there is a chance that you might have a sleeping disorders. There might be obstructive sleep apnea, means there's a lot of snoring, you do it. It affects your sexual function, and there's eating abnormalities have already been seen. Patient who is having polycystic ovarian syndrome. So how we treat it? First and most important thing is lifestyle modification. You must eat healthy, have lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, have broccoli, spinach, and add nuts to your diet. Avoid processed food and fried and junk food, whole grain cereal, lean meat, fish and chicken, and you must report to your doctor if you don't have more than 4 periods in a year. Your doctor will treat you either with an oral contraceptive pills or with the progestogens, which helps you not to get your regular period, but it will take care of your acne, it will take care of your hair fall as well as abnormal hair growth. If you don't improve with that, your doctor might add some anti-androgen drugs to take care of these problems. Another very important thing is many times we add insulin sensitizer drugs, which also improves the insulin resistance and helps you all the symptoms which I have discussed and helps you even for your weight loss. Now, how is the weight loss? You must exercise 30 minutes 5 times a week, a moderate intensity exercises. Magic of the story is if you lose weight, then the conversion of male hormones in adipose tissue doesn't happen, and the chances that your abnormality improves and the male hormones goes down. Your periods become regular because you start ovulating, and it's very well said that the 10 to 15% loss of weight will help you to return your menstrual cycle on a regular basis. So it's very important. Be healthy, get up, start eating well, start doing exercises, meet your doctor. If there is no improvement, we are all here to help you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Madhu Goyal, Associate Director, Fortis Lafarm, Greater Kailash Part 2. And today I'm going to talk about the ABCD of women's health. So women is like a circle with the power to create, to transform and to nurture. And her health should be right there at the center. And unfortunately it is not. And the reason primarily is self-neglect. So let me just give you a few pointers to maintain your health. So the ABCD includes A is for attitude. A positive mental attitude is our greatest asset, right? Health is not just physical, it is mental and emotional health. You need to understand that women used to largely play a supportive role in the family, and now they are moving to the centerfold. So with increasing responsibilities, both at work and at home, there is a greater chance of you suffering from anxiety, stress or depression. And unfortunately in India, mental health always takes a backseat. It is still a tabooed subject. Do not worry. Step out. Talk to your friends. Develop a hobby. Develop a social circle. And if you need, please reach out for a professional help. B is for basic health check. Pay attention to our dishwashers, to our washing machines. For our cars, we take them for a maintenance check. But when it comes to us, we neglect it. Go for your annual health checks. So apart from the routine blood work like blood sugar, lipid profile, hemoglobin, etc., a woman will additionally need a pap smear, an ultrasound check, a mammogram, and if she falls into that age category, a bone densitometry. So pap smear is done every 3 years for women who are sexually active. It is an OPD test. It is absolutely painless, and a doctor just picks up a few cells from the cervix. It is helpful in the detection of cervical cancer at early stages. And while we are in the topic of cervical cancer, let me also stress on the importance of cervical cancer vaccination. Remember, cervical cancer is the only cancer against which a vaccine is there. So if you fall in the age category of 12 to 45, please reach out to your gynecologist for help and advice on cervical cancer vaccination. The next test additionally would be a mammogram, which is also a painless test where the x-rays are taken for the breast, right? And it helps us pick breast cancer at early stages where it can still be treated. Ultrasound pelvis is done to check the uterus and the ovaries for any abnormality over there. A bone densitometry is done in older women to detect the bone health, right? Whether you suffer from osteoporosis or not. And osteoporosis is literally an epidemic in that age category. So if you pick up osteoporosis on bone densitometry, it can be controlled and treated. The C in ABCD is contraception and sexual health. So reproductive health is the most basic, most personal aspect of a woman's health. The number of children you want to have, when you want to have them, should be your prerogative. And you cannot lead your life under stress and anxiety. Every month there is this doubt. Oh, am I pregnant? Can I be pregnant? So a better way out is regular contraception. And let me add, emergency contraception is not an answer to that. So whatever stage of life you are at, whatever age you are at, please reach out to your gynecologist. So contraception is like a basket of fruits. You can pick and choose what suits you best. D is for diet. So a good nutritious diet is the basis for health. Make it as a lifestyle habit. Diet is not for dieting. It is about the type of food that you choose. And like a plant needs adequate fertilizer, soil, etc., we need good diet to sustain ourselves. So make sure that your diet is rainbow diet. It is full of nutrition, have more of fruits and vegetables and good quantity of water. Avoid junk food as far as possible, although once in a while it is fine. The E is for exercise. Exercise is like a magic potion which can transform your life, your attitude, your body, your mental ability. So inculcate good exercising habits on a regular basis. So follow these ABCD tips for your health, and I am sure you will be blessed with a good health. Make the gynecologist your friend. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this very special conversation that we're doing here, talking about women leaders in India today. What is the current reality as we're looking at it, and what can be done to encourage more and more women to enter industry, to enter the workforce, and to enter into leadership roles. Who better than the three women leaders who are joining us today to run us through that? You are watching this Women's Day special. Zebia presents She the Leader, partnered by ET Now, and we're being joined by Nirja Birla, founder and chairperson Empower, Nabomita Mazumdar, founder nabomita.com, President India Awardee, Glory Nelson, Chief People Officer, Zebia. Nabomita, my first question is to you, and you can kick off today's panel by talking about how organizations can have and can build atmospheres and platforms and structures that are more women friendly, particularly for women leaders, and what are some of the qualities perhaps women leaders in India today should look at having?
To begin with, we did an experiment few years back, and that was if a man could bring, I mean, it was turning upside down. If a man could bring a child to workplace and be productive the entire day, the woman would just have a walk in the park in that organization. Absolutely, this is how it works. Few years back, when suddenly the maternity leave was increased from 3 months to 6 months, we had a lot of dissent from the industry that it will not be possible to work from home. But last 2 years, we have seen the entire world can be run from home, not just the organization. So yes, we are at a post-pandemic situation, lot more wizened with our processes, and lot more wizened in terms of organization structures and design. We are already amalgamated into that hybrid workforce culture, and this is exactly the point of time where the women leaders are ready to shine. So yes, we are at the right point of time talking about it. Platforms, there are a lot of names that I would want to take right now, but before that,
Yeah.
I have a request to all those men who are creating great successful careers for women to come up and share their stories. I think rather than celebrating these organizations who are building it for others, we need those individuals to come and share those success stories so that it can be created by everyone, everywhere, in every corner of our country. Thank you.
Sure. Let me come to you next, Glory, for your opening comments. You are a woman who is a leader at the top in a technology company, but we see so very few of you in India, at least. I was looking at some research that showed that India has the highest number of women graduates when it comes to STEM education at 43%, compared even to developed markets like the US or Canada. But when it comes to women then who are pursuing these STEM-based, research-based, technical roles in companies, it's only at about 14%. So there's a huge leakage that's happening. Why is that? What do you think is really the issue here, why we see so many women leaders and so many women entering the technology space, entering STEM-based roles, entering companies that are really looking at these high-end technologies?
Very, very important question and important topic to be addressed. As you said, we have a lot of women students or graduates who are coming out of college, very good marks percentage, and they do come to the mainstream. They start their career into the industry, and the latest stats shows that 50% of the workforce in India are women. But unfortunately, we are not able to see them progressing forward into the managerial role. There could be multiple reasons, and a lot of organizations are started addressing those spaces. And many organizations are also willing to bring back women who have taken a break because of their family need at this time. Especially in India, if you see, women have a tag of taking care of the family. So, what really happens is after 5-6 years, they take a break, and then they kind of take care of the family, the kids, or the old age parents. Now, a lot of companies have started bringing back women who have taken a break for like 10 months or a year, and then they are coming back to the mainstream.
Nirja, you wear many hats, and one of those is as an entrepreneur and as a leader. And all research shows that people who grow into these leadership roles, it has actually started at a very young level, which means that the primary education that we have plays a very crucial role. what changes, and this is a big picture question, of course, what changes do you expect and would you like to see when it comes to the education system that is crucial, you feel, when it comes to grooming more and more women to come into these leadership roles?
There are a lot of things that actually at a primary school level also can be done. So for example, simple things like just basic sanitation and hygiene, menstrual health and hygiene and awareness, gender education, which then can become a part of the school curriculum, laying emphasis on how do you reduce male toxicity and right from a young age. So these are the different things which can get inculcated in our education system, which then encourages and empowers girls to continue with senior school education, because we find that there are a lot of dropouts at that space, at that age, once they hit puberty. So by bringing about these sort of changes, by making it, how do you encourage girls to continue their education, is something that can be focused on. Also, I think higher up, if we empower them and if we encourage more programs which can encourage building of skill sets for women, so that they can then get into better jobs, increase their income, and which in turn makes people and their parents realize that yes, if we educate our girls, they will go on and also can become earning members of their family. We are able to even work backwards, that how do we make girls, how do we encourage them, how do we give them a better skill set so that they can pursue careers where they can become earning members of the families, and then backward plan it and see how we can then increase their reduce the dropout rate and increase education.
Glory, if I can ask you to perhaps comment on that. Nirja was talking about encouraging more women to have careers, and I want you, if possible, to give us specific examples of how you're doing that in your organization, encouraging more women to take leadership roles, and also how it's happening across the tech industry itself. Could you give our viewers an example of that?
So what we do in Xebia is primarily we kind of have a leadership program. We identify people who have an aspiration to become a leader. We identify those people, we nurture them, we give them a platform, and we assign them mentors, because what really happens is they are looking for mentorship, they are looking for some kind of a support to grow in that space. So we provide that kind of a platform for those techies who want to take their career to the leadership role. And as I was telling earlier, we had created a program called Vasantam. This is primarily looking at people who wanted to come back. So what we did, we took them back into the system. We gave them extensive training to allow them to get into the current role, and then gave them an opportunity to start leading projects, to start managing work. So that has really helped in bringing back women who have this aspiration, but they were not able to come forward because of the break in their career.
Now, Bhumita, let me come to you on this. And the reason why it is crucial for women to play larger roles in organizations, not just because, and it is important because, they're bringing a different and a varied experience, but there is also a monetary or a financial impact. I'm sure you've seen the report by McKinsey that talks about how the more women you have, the more gender diversity that you have at the top, the more is your revenue. We also know the increased GDP contribution that countries and companies can see because you have more women at the top. But my question to you is, how can you ensure that then these are being implemented in organizations?
There are a lot of I will call it miss outs, right, from the mid-career level to the senior level, right? First and foremost thing, yes, we do have this law, literary law of women being on a particular percentage of women being on the board. We are beyond the law. We shouldn't just stay with the tokenism. We need to really bring up those leaders to create the icons, to create the role models. Yes, we do not have enough number of role models right now. We do have, but if you look at it, most of us are privileged, right? We had the support of our family, we had the support of this education system and the ecosystem we grew up in. We need to look into those sectors, those areas of society wherein it is not too easy for a woman to make it to the top, and build leaders out of all those women, all those talent pools. You know about the Deloitte research, right, which is that it will take at least 160 years for us to create that kind of a pay parity, right? So 160 years of man hours work we have to plan and we have to implement, and the only way out is to focus on where the most of the miss outs are, and create a system wherein it is easier for them to step up and take up those job roles. It is not just I mean, it is not just important to have a crush in the office. It is important to create that kind of an understanding with the leaders, wherein if a woman cannot take a call in the morning, or if a child is running around wherein she is in a Zoom call like this, it should be fine. It should be okay. There is no pressure or no I mean, no undercurrents about it. Another I mean, common litmus test that I ask ladies to take, that if you're marrying someone, check if he is going to take care of the kid whole night, because you have an early morning flight to take and an entire business day planned out for you. That kind of a ecosystem inside the household and out in the official organization is what we require.
Neerja, and I want to read a headline that we saw from the finance minister just a couple of days ago, where she said women are reluctant to join company boards and difficult to find those who are interested. The finance minister of the country itself really calling this out. What is the solution then in your mind?
I think the solution is that every company should just encourage women to be on the board. I think a lot of times, even though women are qualified, they probably don't feel that they are as compared to their male counterparts. So I think they themselves should also stand up for themselves. And I think if there is equal talent, I think the company themselves also should be encouraging women to take that step forward. So I think it's both ways. I think women themselves also need to stand up for themselves. We need to not be apologetic a lot about, sometimes not being able to do things in the same manner that, say, a man would be able to do it.
Gloria, if I could really come to you next and talk about, value and culture, because Neerja was sort of alluding to that. Being able to provide that sort of environment for women who are in the workplace, and if you can give us some specific initiatives that you're doing at your organization, and why it is important when we're looking at things like value and culture.
Values and cultures are very, very important, and most of the people join an organization for its value. In Xebia, our core value is people first, knowledge exchange, customer intimacy, and quality without compromise. I'll talk a little bit about people first. We really believe that if we take care of our people, they would take care of the rest. And if they grow, the company grows. So that is what we believe. And we kind of practice that in everything we do. A couple of examples I can give, like how we have practiced that, especially in the last 2 years when the pandemic was really, making our life a little more miserable. We said we will follow silent hours. That means like from 12 to 2, we have kind of encouraged everyone not to call each other, because we know women have to prepare food for lunch, take care of the kids, everybody is at home. So we said, please do not have any planned meetings during that time. Let them have the special time with the family, and then they can come back to work. And then after 7, we said, please do not have any scheduled calls. There will be always ad hoc calls because we are in IT services, but we can avoid making scheduled calls after 7 so that they can spend some time with the family, they can address their need, and then they can log in at any time they want if they have to complete the work. So this flexibility really helped a lot of women and as well as men to ensure there is a perfect work-life balance, because that's going for a toss, especially our home has been converted into office space. So that really helped us when we were doing the work from home for the last 2 years. And another one, if I have to give from a people first per se, we have gone to an extent to say, okay, we are ready to lose a customer if it is impacting our people's career, because we believe our people career are more important and we are not going to compromise on the quality. So that had really helped to retain our people, as well as the customer also able to understand why it is important to do certain things in the right way.
I have to slip into a short commercial break on that note. We are back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here on this very special Women's Day panel. Navomita, I want to come to you and speak about and this was briefly mentioned in the course of this conversation on this panel about the different models of work. During the pandemic, of course, most industries had moved to work from home with the opening up. Some people are migrating back to offices, and some are still following a very sort of a hybrid model. My question to you is, what perhaps is the best model that you think will work for working women, keeping in mind the realities, some of the things that Glory was just talking about, and also keeping in mind a stark reality which shows that there are fewer women who have returned to the workplace post the pandemic than before.
Sunanda, taking a step back, if you see in our culture, women ideally owned a dressing table and a vanity station, not a workstation at home, right? And it started there. It was that deep ingrained in our minds, in our value system, and into our homes. We had a puja ghar, but we never had a work corner for anyone, right? Even if we had a study that would be either used by the kids in the home or probably the husband when he is at home. The ideal situation right now is obviously hybrid, which allows, it's not just organization design or productivity design, but a design which allows women to breathe as they are working. There had been a lot of posts that we have making on if work could be managed from home, why can't home be managed from office? It's the idyllic situation. I don't know how many centuries we will take to get there. I'm sorry, but then yes, if we can actually do that, wherein you can sit and work anywhere, not just office, and be equally productive, equally managing your home, that's the ideal situation. We have to step up and we have to move, get those barriers moved. When a woman is working, if she's taking calls, she's not available to manage the kid. She's not available to man the door. She's not available to see what's on the cooker or what's on the stuff. All these things are deeply ingrained. We have to move one step at a time. I'm sure we are going to get this done.
Nirja, I want to come to you and talk about networks and networking and what is called intangible assets. Essentially, building those relationships and having those people around and having that community really around you, and having those alliances really with different people, which are so crucial when it comes to any leader, more so for women. Maybe you could give us some personal examples of how women leaders should perhaps build these and then draw from those.
So I think having alliances really helps because, I think it's very important to know that there are other people in similar situations. So at the leadership position, when there are other women also who are, struggling with, struggling with things which are common to all of us, I think it just, you can obviously draw on their experiences, you can lend on them for support, leverage on those relationships and see how you can in turn grow from that, and in turn help the other person as well. So having the alliances, and also I think the alliance also helps in not being in a competitive situation with another woman. I think women by and large tend to compete with each other as well. So I think if you are in an alliance and you realize that you have other women there to support you and not compete with you, that can help build a real huge support system for us.
Glory, I want to ask you about your message for anyone who's watching this interview, or for women leaders and women employees who say, I would like to have an impact. I would like to see a change. I would like to leave my footprint, and I would like to, have those changes as I'm growing in my career journey. What would you like to say to them? How can they have this impact? How can they effect changes?
Very simple. Be passionate about what you want to do it and never give up. Because success is not easy, and success is not just given to men. Okay, it's there for everyone. So if you have a dream, be passionate about it, breathe in and breathe out, and you will be able to succeed.
I want to discuss something very crucial at this point. We often discuss the impact that maternity leaves have on careers of women. And a lot of small businesses tell us that giving 6 months off to women who have babies and are coming back to the workforce, that's an expense. And that's an expense for small businesses, but also for larger organizations. And open to all three of you, I'd love to hear all your perspectives on this.
Sunanda, here's a real take on it. Once the act was mandated, it only seemed as a cost to the companies. Whereas few years down the line, what we have seen is women who have been working all these years do not want to just sit at home for 6 months, right? They want to remain intellectually alive, which is something which helps them to defeat something called postpartum blues. So this is exactly where we have seen that yes, the 6 months is required in terms of physical strength, in terms of gaining a lot of understanding with the child or managing the child. But the woman needs to be intellectually active all this while. Since you mentioned small businesses, I'm grateful to be associated with so many Chamber of Commerce. We have seen so many women during pandemic through their pregnancies launch businesses and being very, very successful about it. Launch digital business, launch different kind of businesses. So for women who wants to take advantage of this time and at the same point of time take care of the child and obviously move ahead with their work as well, it is not impossible. But for those who cannot manage, without taking the time off, yes, they will require the support from their organization. But I would suggest, given the conditions of, given the intellectual talent pool that we have, I feel very little women would just want to take the time off. They may not go to work, but they would want to remain intellectually alive at the same point of taking care of their child. So I don't see it as a complete cost to the company, even though yes, on the face of it, it is definitely.
Just to add to that, you have the 6 months, and we as an organization, we kind of support, and we also give extended work from home and extended leaves if it is required. But please stay active and be understand what is happening around you. Be responsible for your career. Do not expect organized comeback. We expect you to be responsible and accountable for the work you are going to do, and we will provide all the possible support. But your career, it's in your hand.
Let me take closing comments, and perhaps I could come to you first, Neerja. Your advice for anyone who's watching today's panel, whether male or female, about what you would like to leave them with ahead of this Women's Day discussion.
I think the size of the job doesn't matter. What you bring to it, how much of yourself you give to it, is important. And I think being a woman, I think we all must realize that yes, we are juggling with various things. Culturally, there's a lot that is on our plate, which will take eons to move away from. So while that we are still living it, we still have to juggle, we still have to balance a home, family, children, and huge responsibilities at work. So let's be kind to ourselves. Let's know that we are doing the best that we can, and keeping that in mind, let's not be apologetic. Let's continue to work hard, and knowing that we are on the right path of success, and we will get there.
I want to come to you then, Nabomita. For all the young women who are watching this interview, what would you like to tell them?
This is your time to shine. As Neerja ji mentioned, keep away from the Queen Bee syndrome, because as you grow, you're the icon for the others who are working through. So we are looking at you. We are looking for your success stories. Inspire as much as you can. We are waiting to hear from you.
Gloria, I'm going to give you the last word. One piece of advice that you've perhaps received in your professional career that has immensely helped you, and you want to leave our viewers with that thought.
When I started my career, when you get all this not so pleasant emails, we kind of trying to react. So my manager came and said, when you get any such mail, do not react immediately. Take some time off, just close your laptop, go for a walk, come back, and then look at the mail. You will see a very different perspective, and your reaction would be completely opposite to what you have thought before. So it has really helped me to handle a lot of tough situations. So do not react immediately. Take some time back. Look from the other person's perspective. So you will be able to have a very different view of the problem you are dealing with, and you will be able to get a great solution.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much for that, Glory. Thank you so much, Neerja, Nabomita, for taking the time to talk to us today. Completely out of time on this very special Women's Day panel, Zebia presents She the Leader, partnered by ET Now. Thank you so much for watching.